There are several signs Jordan Love is little more than a backup. Watch how Green Bay coaches him. They don't trust him. Simply put, he cannot throw the ball accurately down the field. Favre, Hall of Famer. Rodgers, great. I don't know if Jordan Love's a Hall of Famer, but we have to admit now, he is the quarterback of the future for Green Bay.
Jordan Love had his breakout season last year. He took the Packers to the playoffs and went all the way until the final moments of the divisional round. Given that Green Bay had the youngest roster in the entire NFL and they started the year with a record of 3-6, nobody expected the Packers to make it that far last season. In fact, many people thought that the Packers drafting Love was the worst decision ever. Here's how Jordan Love went from being labeled as the biggest quarterback bust of his draft class to a contender for the MVP award this season. When he was coming out of Utah State, Love was considered to be a prospect that needed a lot of development. In his junior season, he threw for 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, which was a lot different than his sophomore year where he threw 32 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. This sudden drop in production raised a lot of concerns for NFL teams, and as a result, Love's draft stock plummeted. But teams were still impressed by his arm talent and ability to improvise when a play breaks down. The big concern was the interceptions and making better decisions with the football. He was typically ranked as the 5th quarterback on the board behind Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Hurts. A lot of mock drafts didn't even have him slated as a first-round pick. That's why nearly everyone's jaw hit the floor when the Green Bay Packers traded up in the first round and passed on many big-name receivers to draft Jordan Love. Meanwhile, the Packers were coming off of yet another season that ended in a disappointing playoff loss. But during the regular season, they had a record of 13-3 and made it all the way to the NFC Championship game in Matt LaFleur's first season as head coach. The Packers looked like they were on the brink of becoming serious Super Bowl contenders if they continued to build around Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Rodgers, who is coming off of a 4,000-yard season with 26 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions, showed no signs of slowing down despite being 37 years old at the time. That offseason seemed like a great opportunity for the Packers to invest in some pieces to help get them one more Super Bowl victory with Rodgers before he retired. And in the days leading up to the draft, Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show that he would like to see the Packers draft a skill player in the first round to help him out offensively. This made a lot of sense, especially with the amount of receiver talent that was available in the 2020 draft class. After a season where the Packers were just one game away from winning the Super Bowl, they decided to draft Aaron Rodgers' replacement instead of going all in on winning a championship. Despite the shock factor of the situation, Jordan Love was going to get a few years to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and learn the NFL game, much like how Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for years before eventually taking over the starting role. But Rodgers wasn't going to give up the starting job without a fight, as in 2020 and 2021, Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs with Jordan Love sitting on the bench. This led to Rodgers signing a 2-year extension with Green Bay, and it honestly began to look like Jordan Love might never get his chance to be the Green Bay Packers franchise quarterback. But after a very disappointing season in 2022, the Packers decided to trade Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets and give Jordan Love a shot to be their Week 1 starter. Prior to this, Love had only ever started one game for the Packers in 2021 when Aaron Rodgers missed a game due to the COVID-19 policies at the time. Love completed 55% of his passes for 190 yards while throwing 1 touchdown and 1 interception in that game. So nobody really knew what to expect from Jordan Love because his opportunities were very limited. The uncertainty surrounding Love put the Packers' projected win total at 7.5 wins. I'd say the first 3 weeks of the season were relatively successful for Jordan Love. He was kind of inefficient, but he threw for 7 touchdowns to just 1 interception, and the Packers were 2-1 to start the year. But then the losses started piling up. The Packers would go on a mid-season stretch where they went 1-5, including a couple of tough losses to the Raiders, Broncos, and Vikings. The big concern was that Jordan Love looked like hot garbage. During that stretch, Love completed 61% of his passes while throwing 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, and posting a passer rating of 73.9. And it honestly looked like there was a chance that Jordan Love simply just wasn't the guy. But suddenly, his performance did a complete 180. I believe their Thanksgiving Day matchup against the Lions was a huge turning point, not only for Jordan Love's season, but potentially his career as well. The Lions were having an incredible year, and going into Thanksgiving, they had a record of 8-2. Just 2 months prior, the Lions absolutely steamrolled the Packers on Thursday Night Football in Lambeau. The Packers were 7.5-point underdogs going into the game, but it didn't matter because they marched into Ford Field and absolutely gave it to their division rivals on Thanksgiving Day. And Jordan Love looked absolutely phenomenal as he completed over 68% of his passes for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns with a passer rating of over 125. Ever since that game, Jordan Love looked like a completely different player for the rest of the season. The very next week, the defending Super Bowl champions came to Green Bay for a Sunday night showdown. And Jordan Love outdueled Patrick Mahomes as he put up yet another game with over 260 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. No quarterback was hotter than Jordan Love during the second half of last season. In his final 8 games of the year, Love completed 70% of his passes, he threw 18 touchdowns to just 1 interception, and had a passer rating of 112, which led the NFL during that span. The Packers went 6-2 to finish the season and snuck their way into the playoffs. And in his first career postseason start, he went to Dallas and thumped the Cowboys in a game where he completed 76% of his passes for 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, and nearly posted a perfect passer rating. While the season ended in a disappointing fashion against the 49ers, Jordan Love's finish to the year should strike fear into the entire AFC North that the Packers may have successfully developed another franchise quarterback that's going to terrorize them for years to come. In fact, Jordan Love is my choice to win MVP this season. I think the end of last year was a sign of things to come for Love and the Packers. This team around Jordan Love is only going to get better, especially this wide receiver group. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jayden Reed are one of the most underrated wide receiver trios in the league. And if you look at the growth and progress that Jordan Love made last season, there's no reason to believe that he won't continue to ascend his play into this year. If you take his numbers from the final 8 games of last season and average it out over 17 games, Love was on pace to throw for over 4,500 yards, 38 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. If the Packers look like how they did starting in week 10 of last season, and Jordan Love continues to play efficient football in Matt LaFleur's offense, things are going to be scary for the rest of the league. Hey everyone, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button, as it will go a long way in helping me create the best quality NFL content for all of you. Let me know in the comments how you think Jordan Love and the Packers are going to do this season. And once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.